I think the National Road Series is a really great thing for development of both the men's and the women's side. You can see, you know, every year the women's national series is getting stronger and stronger.
And it's certainly at a high now, like a lot more media attention is getting thrown at it within Australia. Obviously with the new Green Edge AIS women's team as well, it's just stepped up again, and I certainly think it's on the way up.
The NRS has evolved. It's come forward in leaps and bounds, especially in the last year since teams racing has been introduced.
There's a lot of teamwork now, a lot more girls racing, which makes it a lot harder, a lot tougher competition.
The tour of the Mersey Valley and all the bad weather Tasmania could muster was a tough introduction for the riders of the Women's National Road Series. After a time trial and a road race stage, Lisa Jacobs of the Jayco Apollo VIS team sat 7 seconds clear of Holden Cycling's Miranda Griffith. The third stage coming down to a duel between the two, Jacobs finishing it off in style, taking the stage and the tour.
I had a really good team, and we had a plan that we executed pretty well, and I think that's what got us over the line, just the teamwork.
The weather and conditions couldn't be a bigger contrast as riders converged on the Queensland-New South Wales border for round 2, the battle on the border. The event also marked the return to racing for former national road champion Ruth Corset. After second place in the time trial, Corset went on to dominate the event.
With the escapees caught, that triggered a flurry of counter-attacks, including a daring move on the dirt by series leader Lisa Jacobs. Ruth Corset straight onto her wheel, neutralising Jacobs' attack and then chasing down Track World Championships bronze medalist Ashley Ann Kudinoff. Corset leaving the Boss Nutrixion rider and the peloton in her wake. She crested the climb alone and continued on with the job.
Ruth Corset, the little pocket rocket from Townsville, takes it for Penta, Hawk Racing.
And Corset kept a sizzling pace on. 3 riders lunged for the line, but Corset, showing her all-round ability, took a second stage victory and the overall honours in the battle on the border.
It was a great job by the team. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, so it was great teamwork and they just made it easy for me at the end there.
The Santos Northwestern Tour took riders inland for an all-new event. Over 4 stages, riders would visit the wide open plains and occasional steep climbs of the northwest of New South Wales. After 2 stages, Rebecca Wyasak held the leader's jersey, but with the climb to Siding Springs Observatory looming, there was expected to be a shake-up in the standings.
And an attack by Ruth Corset was enough to force the final selection. Lisa Jacobs holding on to their wheels as the fog rolled in. By the finish, the gaps had opened up, with Corset finishing 11 seconds in front of Griffiths and Jacobs a further 30 seconds behind.
It was very tough and Miranda was doing a lot of the work on the front there, so she was just hurting Lisa's and my legs. And then I could see her suffering a little bit, so that's when I decided to attack.
Corset defended her lead all the way to Tamworth, taking her second round of the National Road Series in a row. Another comeback story was that of Taryn Heather. After representing Australia in the time trial at the World Championships, she was on the comeback from a long-term injury. Heather's third place in the opening time trial of the DBR Canberra Women's Tour had her poised to take the lead.
Finishing in the lead bunch was Taryn Heather, who did enough to take the lead in the GC.
I've had a bit of time off. I've been sick, so it's my first race back, so I'm feeling good, so that's positive.
The tour culminated with a 40-minute plus 3-lap criterium around the purpose-built course at Stromlo Forest Park. But it wasn't enough to change the standings at the head of the GC, as Taryn Heather claimed the overall tour victory on her return from racing in Europe.
I came here not knowing how I was going after a couple of weeks of training, so I feel like I went really well. My teammates supported me, made it a bit easier for today, so it was awesome.
Some months elapsed until the final 2 events of the series, a period that also included the Olympic Games. Sassy Team's Annette Edmondson proudly took a bronze medal on the track and returned to the road for the Shipwreck Coast Classic. It's the only one-day event on the calendar and the race requires a different approach to the tours.
One day races are different to tour racing. It's going to be everyone has to lay it on the line for the day, but what an awesome day in Warrnambool that they've put on for us, and I wish every day of racing could be like this.
With 3 kilometres to go, the trains of the sprint specialists moved into formation. VIS, Sassy, Pensar and Boss all battling for position at the head of the peloton.
I'll see the checkered flag as the nearest minute of line of Sassy right over the top. Can get it to go on the 10:35.
Adding to an already stellar year on the track, Annette Edmondson added an NRS victory to her already impressive list of achievements.
There's 3 girls who are quite close on the leaderboard for the overall win of the NRS series, so we thought they'd be all looking at each other so we wouldn't have to do all of the chasing, so that actually worked out well, and yeah, just managed to have a good train at the end there and yeah, managed to pull off the win.
It's great news that Ballarat can host a new tour for us. I think everybody's excited to be here, and 4 stages over 3 days is going to be fantastic.
Pretty confident we've got a strong team, and I've got a pretty good lead at the moment, so but anything can happen in the tour.
Another new event to the series, the Tour of the Goldfields, served as a fitting finale. The 4-stage tour would feature some of the most dramatic and hardest fought racing seen all year.
Stage 2 featured the only team's time trial in the National Road Series this year. It was said to be a real test of the team's technique, skill and communication to cover the 20-kilometre course in the fastest time, the gusty crosswinds adding to the challenge. Suzuki Trek set the fastest early time of 28 minutes and 58 seconds, but the impressive lineup of Jayco Apollo VIS bettered their time by more than a minute. Annette Edmondson's team not far behind, with only a 7-second gap to the leaders. The yellow jersey team of Boss Nutrixion would be the final team on the road. They managed to stay within striking distance of the general classification, 3rd place with a ride of 28 minutes and 45 seconds. Windmills, narrow roads and strong winds made for familiar conditions for those who have raced in the European peloton. With the bunch all together for the final sprint, Team Sassy looked to have the best organised train, launching Annette Edmondson to the line as she showed the speed that has given her such success on the track to take the win.
It was pretty windy out there, and I managed to sit in quite well, and it worked out well in the end.
And we're off and racing. Good luck, ladies, be safe.
With time bonuses on offer for the 3 sprints and 6 hill climbs, the riders at the top of the general classification would have no time for complacency. With 7 kilometres to go, the stage was set for an exciting finish. Holden Cycling's Miranda Griffiths was the first to attack on the final climb, but Edmondson again took valuable seconds at the Queen of the Mountain sprint. A select group of 6 were left to contest the final, and launching from the last corner was the familiar figure of Annette Edmondson.
Yeah, she is going to take this bike race and take the tour.
The final result saw Edmondson win by over 12 seconds to Chloe McConville and 34 seconds to Lisa Jacobs. And the incredibly consistent Ruth Corset took 5th place to cement the overall victory of the Subaru Women's National Road Series.
It's a real legitimate development step between women wanting to start their skills racing in Australia and move overseas.
I'm just absolutely thrilled to see the difference in the calibre of racing, and it is basically racing like you do in Europe.
I think it's a great place for people to learn initially how to race, and also you can see on the men's side that people like Nathan Haas ride really well, and all of a sudden they're picked up by a World Tour team. So I mean that's pretty cool.